after.
Wanatoa ifanye fujo ndio wapate faida gani?
This was President William Ruto's speech back in July this year at the height of the Gen Z protests that were pushing for reforms in the country. 2 months later, the head of state seems to have changed tune on the Ford Foundation, an non-governmental organization based in the United States that he blamed for sponsoring the Gen Z protests in the country. Now, President William Ruto is showering praises to the foundation for its contribution to the growth of the Kenyan democracy. Posting on social media after he held talks with the president of the Ford Foundation, Darren Walker, in New York, Ruto said the foundation is committed to the democratic process in Kenya, saying the country appreciates this commitment. The post reads, and I quote, "Kenya appreciates the Ford Foundation's commitment to safeguarding our democracy and supporting Kenya's calls for reforms in the global economic institutions, climate action, and modern technology regulation." 2 months ago, the head of state called out the foundation, accusing them of undermining Kenya's democracy. Ruto emphasized that his government will not tolerate any form of anarchy and called on the foundation to clarify its role in the protests. He further urged those behind the unrest to step forward and present their alternative views instead of remaining anonymous.
We have no use for anarchy and violence and destruction of property and loss of life. If they are going to sponsor violence, if they are going to sponsor anarchy, we are going to call them out and we are going to tell them they either style up or they leave.
Despite Ruto's allegations, the Ford Foundation denied any involvement in sponsoring protests, asserting its commitment to human rights and social justice initiatives.
The person who writes the speeches, the president, should be fired with immediate effect. Because the president here in Kenya said the Ford Foundation ndio walikuwa wanamwaga pesa mbaya ya watoto wetu kwenda kwa mabarabara. He blamed on the Ford Foundation on the protests. Saa hii tumemuona amekaa vizuri sana huko New York na president wa Ford Foundation. Sasa niambie, hata kama unataka kumwamini rais, unaweza muamini?
This, however, is not the first time President Ruto has gone back on his word. The head of state had also vowed not to work with former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. However, the two came together to form what we are now calling the broad-based government. Brian Amoai, K24, Nairobi.
I swear we are not turning things around, they're just making something.
Let me say this, Brian. People like Wamushomba and company should find something substantive, something that is of substance, to tell Kenyans that the president should not be trusted. But not this, surely. I mean, this is embarrassing for Wamushomba. You know, when you, at the time of the protest, when you looked at those figures, those characters who were on the forefront leading the protest, and the Gen Z rightly said they were not led by anyone. Mm-hmm. But those guys in the civic society who are leading this protest or appeared to be funding the protest and funding the same, if you trust them, they are trustable to Ford Foundation. And what the president made was a fair comment. Even any sane Kenya would say so. If you see the likes of, let me not mention names because for obvious legal reasons. Okay. But those guys who are supporting these demonstrations are all linked to either the Ford Foundation and a few other organizations. But then again, it takes a lot of maturity, courage, and democracy enough for you to tower above this thing and say, we appreciate what you do to my country. Okay. And I really hold a lot of respect to the president, okay, that for the first time he's come out publicly and say, in politics, in leadership, you must be accountable. You must allow democratic space to thrive. That is the hallmark of leadership. If you don't want to be criticized in this country, my friend, you have zero business being in leadership.
Okay, Honorable Manduko, this is the thing. Let's start from accusing them of undermining democracy, then praising them for, protecting or rather championing for democratic space in Kenya, and also just the accusations that were, happening back then when it comes to matters of Gen Z protests and right now what you're experiencing.
I think my colleague has put it very well, that first he said, only a fool doesn't change his mind. It is possible that initially the president, either he was misled or spoke out of anger, or as he says, he may have identified one or two people in the protests who are linked to the Ford Foundation, either by way of association or consultancy or even work. But then there's no proof that there was an inflow of funds from the foundation to the protests. maybe by virtue of association, as he says, some prominent people probably worked for the Ford Foundation before, or have been seen with elements or members of the Ford Foundation. But the Ford Foundation that I know myself has been there for close to 8 decades. And its objectives are for social good, equity or equality at the workplace, gender, social justice, democracy, and now they're championing what we call the climate agenda. All these are things that we as a country also closely
So do we overlook
associated with.
do you overlook the aspect that to some extent we did believe that they were undermining the Kenyan democracy, and now say, okay, some of the things that you're doing at the moment are quite in line with what we want to achieve as a government, so let's focus on that and forget that the protests that rocked the country to some extent, people calling for the head of state to go. Is that something you forget if at all you believe these are the people that who actually wanted you out of office?
No, I think precisely as per the president's statement yesterday, he has changed his mind, and now he's saying, let us look at the good as of yesterday, and we forget about what he said 2-3 months ago. I mean, life goes on, really. It's not a big deal.
How are you not looking at it as not a big deal?
Because as you've heard correctly,
the accusations that happened
the
then
president
were not
himself
something light, though.
changes his mind. He said he will not work with the opposition. He's now working with us. He said Ford Foundation funding the Gen Z. Perfect. He keeps changing his mind. Which is
Okay, because I think as our final conversation here will be on the issues to do with what is happening in the ruling party and what we've been able to see yesterday. Of course, that is the former UDS. Okay, he still maintains he's the current UDS Secretary General. That is Cleophas Malala. There's a little bit of abduction, and what he says, my abduction is actually in relation to what is happening in the country and my position as far as the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua is concerned. We've been able to see quite a lot of action on this particular front, and of course from the ruling party, you have the second in command, the deputy party leader of this party, and yet there's been talks of impeachment. There's a censure motion, of course, yesterday, a censure motion by Mungatana, that is Danson Mungatana, Tana River Senator. Let me start, trying to understand what is, from your aspect and as somebody who sits in this particular party, where did the rain start beating you?
Let me first begin by saying what is happening in the party now is it's normal. I mean, it's normal in a very vibrant political party, especially a party that appreciates the need to grow and the need to preserve democracy internally.
No, you're normalizing the issue of impeachment and fallout from the...
No, I am not. For now, there's no impeachment.
Okay.
For now, it's a creation of the media and the people. There's no impeachment as from where I sit. I have not seen any impeachment motion.
You seem to be blaming the media unfairly, I believe so.
No, not the media, but it's a story that is running in public.
Yeah.
But some of us are factual enough. There is no impeachment at the moment. We have not been called for a parliamentary group to be told there will be an impeachment motion against the deputy president. It is not there. It is just perhaps his own fears and he's fighting his own wars. But let me say this. When you occupy the office of the deputy president, or the presidency, for that fact, number one, you're a symbol of national unity. We expect you to unify the country. We do not expect you to be a regional leader as DP or as president. I would be disappointed today if President William Ruto keeps on focusing and talking about the Rift Valley. I will equally be disappointed today if I become deputy president and I just keep on saying Kwale, and Mombasa for that matter, and coast. You are beyond Mount Kenya. You are beyond Kwale. You are beyond the region. And I have never had, since we came into government 2 years down the line, I've never had my deputy party leader speak about anything to do with government policy, government program. Let me tell you one thing. I am currently doing an amendment to the Alcoholic Drinks and Control. It might come actually to the media as a story later today. I want to make very beautiful amendments to that particular act. I proposed it to the Deputy President's office. He never said anything to me on this thing, only for me to get a shocker that is engaging a county assembly, which is doing the same thing at the assembly level, at the county level. So you wonder then if we will localize everything. Even the war on illicit brew is being localized.
And this is a war he is championing for. Why do you think he never got back to you on that one?
I don't know. I just never got any response. And I was just consulting. You know, he's my deputy party leader. So then you have a feeling that something is wrong with either the office or the office holder. So this is just a question of putting a house in order.
When there's, okay, how do you put your house in order? When you say this is...
If the impeachment motion comes, we will look at the merit as it is. As of now, there is no impeachment motion, Brian. What we are hearing is stories. But the moment it comes to Parliament, we will look at it and its merits and see whether it is the rightful cause to chat or not.
You've mentioned issues to do with, putting your house in order, meaning you believe that it is not in order at the moment and with how things stand. You've said the, Deputy President, you haven't had him champion for national issues and all that, and to some extent just localized a lot of stuff. When a motion is presented and some of these things that you as a member of this party are raising are put on the table, and you look at them and say, from what I see, this is not a good position for a person that is supposed to be a national figure. Do you say now that will be ground enough to lead to putting your house in order, quote unquote, and in terms of putting the house in order, what would that entail?
You know, when you talk of impeaching someone in the capacity of a deputy president, there's a clear defined process and procedure in law, in the constitution. And the threshold is equally very, very high. And the grounds must be very clear and, proven, so that you don't end up allowing this person going to court and getting a court order and staying all through his term. So if that motion comes, and I want to assume whoever is drafting the motion, if there is really one doing it, has tied all loose ends, so that it is a proper motion that we will consider, argue that motion, prosecute it on its merit. And if we find the deputy president is, has their grounds that have been met to send him home, then we will do it. Because ultimately, we must be seen to be a proactive party. And, these things that you're talking about in the party, they are not new. Any new party struggles with these things. You have an SG perhaps who's gone rogue, you have a party officer who's gone rogue, and you need to tame that person. When I had my good friend, the former SG, Cleo Malala, saying that he's being abducted, I mean, it is wrong. He's a drama teacher, so perhaps he wanted to just dramatize.
You can't dismiss his issues.
No one is after his life. No one is after his kids'
How
life.
sure can you be?
He roams around the country and the town safely. He was with you here the other day on a show, isn't it? Why would he claim he's being abducted? No. And the issue is very simple.
The issue
he has ceased from being SG to the party.
His brother-in-law and his son were abducted.
Those are side issues. Those are side issues. I mean, where's the evidence that they were being abducted?
There's a CCTV
we simply went for the official car for the party. He's refused to hand
Why
over
would
the
you
car.
go for a car at night, though?
If that's the time he's available, because we saw him on TV here, then we wondered, okay, fine, so he's at K24. He will go home at 10 p.m. That's the only time we had to find him. He's not available every other time. Let us stop sensationalizing issues.
For party's car at night.
Brian, let me tell you, let us stop looking for information or a story that is not there. And Malala, I can tell you, is a very good dramatist. He's a very good dramatist. So, for us, we have no business going after him. We really appreciate the role he did for the party, and I want to urge him, we still need him in the party. I mean, he's a voice of reason in the party. He's a voice of sense in the party. We really need him to build the party the way we aspire to build the party.
I still don't believe, 10 p.m. is the right time to go for someone, and you don't expect them to feel like you're after them as far as their life is concerned. Let me come to you. Senator Mugatana did, it's a censure motion, and in that particular motion, he said Article 260 of the Constitution of Kenya categorizes the Deputy President as a state officer whose conduct and behavior shall abide by the provisions of Article 75 of the Constitution of Kenya and the General Leadership and Integrity Code of State Officers. Na Mugatana noted that Gachagua, since assuming office, has made utterances that continue to create tension and divisions among Kenyans. Is championing for the interest of the Mount Kenya region creating division among the public?
Let me say this. I'll answer your question, but before I do that, The United Democratic Alliance and its affiliate members who form the Kenya Kwanza group came into leadership having made a raft of promises. In fact, at my last count, there are 422 promises that are yet to be fulfilled. My question is, 422, and I can give you a list of these 422 promises.
Okay,
my question is,
out of the
my question is, they talked about job creation.
Okay.
They talked about digital empowerment of every ward.
Okay, okay.
There are 422 and you have them.
422.
So you ask yourself, at this time, 2 years down the line, of the 422, what is the percentage rating of fulfilled promises or those that are on track? Now, if you answer that question, then you ask yourself, is a censure motion or even an impeachment motion against the Deputy President a priority? Now, what kind of energy will it draw, both positive and negative, in our country? What kind of instability is it likely to cause? Is it a priority? Were we in all this Kenya Kwanza drama only to end up now fighting at each other? And let me tell you the problem we're having, and no one else will say it. When they took power, the Kenya Kwanza people, and ordinarily you win an election to take over government, they thought that they'll go and do business in government. And this fallout is about business interests.
I think that is wrong. You know, to go on national TV.
Let me tell you. When a Adani deal is done,
it is wrong.
And other deals are done, and some people feel left out. And they feel that they are the real shareholders in this government. So it is bound to create friction. What you are seeing is as a result of business fallout. Let me leave it there. Now let me go to the next. Let me go to the next step.
I can't allow that thought to go for one simple thing. We are a duly elected
government of the day. We were told that this is
a government to do business.
We were told this is a government of shareholders, my friends. We also have shares in other small companies, and we know the business of shareholding.
But the person who said it
is profit
is the
making.
one we want to now try and see whether we can clean up our house.
And so,
it is not the entire government.
And so, he has probably realized that
that's why
in this shareholding, there's no dividend, either political dividend or otherwise. Now, having said that, the Constitution has a provision for impeachment of a deputy president. In fact, I think it is section 150 of the Constitution of Kenya, read together with section 144 and I think 145, which is a section that also gives guidance on how to impeach the president. As it says, we have not seen the impeachment motion, but there's talk of the motion coming anytime to the floor of the House. Now, my fear is, and I've just come from Kisii, and the Kisii people asking questions, who is this deputy president?
You want to
they are probably making him more popular than he is.
Okay.
People are starting to question, why do they want to get rid of the deputy president?
Okay.
It is creating an interest that ordinarily would not have been created.
All right.
Now, my advice is that probably we need to focus on other productive areas. Instead of bringing these motions that will take a lot of our time, will take a lot of our energy, let us focus on motions that will help the ordinary person. Like what you talked about, the bursary consolidation bill. That's a good motion. It's positive.
All right. I get. I'm running out of time. I'm really, really sorry. I want to talk comment here. Edward Muya says, why are you, this is on the Adani deal, why are you striking deals which at their time of lapse you will have died long time? So you don't care where you'll dump your
nation. I hope to be alive in 30 years' time.
And the future of the upcoming generation. That is a question. Okay. Sylvester Kiplimo Kemboi says, this country should transition to a socialist state all these shenanigans will not be witnessed. Okay, that's some of the comments that we're getting as far as the Adani deal is concerned. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your time here on the program and helping us make sense of the state of the nation, from all the way from the issues to do with the Adani deal to the deputy president and now the turnaround, which, by the way, Honorable Chimera says it's not a turnaround, it's just a
Clarification.
You're looking for a story that
Clarification. You know, he's a lawyer, and lawyers have a way to get away with words. So,
thank you so much, Honorable Manduku, for making time for this program this morning.
pleasure. Thank you very much. Anytime you invite me, I'll try and make it here.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for honoring our invite. Thank you, Honorable Chimera, for making time too.
It's a pleasure. I must say, as leaders, we will do the right thing, even if you're alone.
Even if you're alone? Yes. Okay, noted. That is well noted. Say hi to the people of your
Kwale.
Your Kwale.
I will.
Okay. Thank you so much for making time for the program this morning. That's where we wrap it up here on New Dawn. Let's do this again when God says we do good. Do have yourselves a lovely day.
Thank you.
Your Saturday morning won't be the same again.
Launch sequence activated.
Have a nice trip.
Oh yes! As K24 TV brings you Akili and me. Ubongo Kids, next generation.